Good morning, everybody. Today I would like to talk to you about something that you likely have pondered, either out loud or to yourself, and that is wondering if your backswing is long enough, if it's the right distance to give you the maximum amount of pop on your tee shots. And if you've been playing golf for more than 20 years or so, there's a good chance that you remember John Daly entering the scene. And when he first got on tour, he was hitting the ball farther than anyone else, miles longer. And he also had the biggest golf swing. His club almost pointed back at his left foot. And so it's natural to connect the dots and say, well, if a bigger backswing means longer tee shots. And to give you an idea of where this lesson is going, I want you to know that a big backswing, provided you're staying within the rudiments of good form, is only a well-made beginning. There's something else that's far more significant, and let me outline it like this. Let's take you out of golf and put you into something else, and then I promise to bring you back, and I hope with a better understanding of where this lesson is going. Pretend you're going to try to throw a baseball as fast as you possibly can. The natural thing to do would be to take it back as far as you can so that the distance this thing travels, not in the backward motion, but in the forward motion, can be the farthest. In other words, I'd like it to be maybe 10 feet from the point where the velocity starts going this way until it finally comes out of my hand. That would be ideal. However, just because I have a lot of arm swing going back doesn't mean I can't still squander it. In other words, if I have it way back here but then release it here, then that long backswing didn't do me any good. Now, how does that relate to a golf swing? Let me ask you to forget about the arm now. That was for baseball, but the principle is still the same. I want you to think more about hip turn during the downswing. Every student of golf knows that the golf swing is initiated, that is the downswing, by the lower half. And so if a person, most people do this very well, take a backswing where they have 90 degrees of shoulder turn and about 45 degrees of hip turn. No harm done yet, but nothing over the top good either. That's just pretty standard. Where most people lose their distance is in the downswing, their hips there's 45 degrees of turn. The hips are pointed over there. I started here, they're here now. The average golfer only returns to a point where both hips are back at zero again. So they only have 45 degrees of motion in the direction of the target prior to impact, which is not much different than this guy who released the ball here. We want to maximize how much motion this is going forward prior to impact. And so your best players are those that may only turn 45 degrees back, because that's ample. But by the time they get to impact, their hips have already returned, not to zero, but to 45 degrees on the other side, so that they enjoy the benefit of 90 degrees of hip turn prior to impact. That's the what. That's what you've got to know. That's what you've got to be working on. Let's talk about the how. How can you develop that if you don't already have it? Because if you're like 90% of players, you're closer to zero at the moment of impact, and that's why most people are arm swingers. Let's talk about it. I'm going to just tune in the moment of impact for a moment. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and set up and then open my hips to that position that's 45 degrees. Now, I want you to be careful to observe my legs. This leg is not out in front of this leg. It's in line with it. The hips are open, and this knee is over toward the other knee, not out in front of it. That's important. Start with this thing here. My hips are open. Put that club behind there. Take a little practice swing. And then just take a little cock of the wrist and hit that golf shot. Now you'll find, relative to the amount of energy used in swinging, that ball takes off pretty hard. You're in a great position from which to really release that club and hit it. I would do that a couple of times. Let me say it again. I'm gonna start square, get my weight on my left foot, get this knee in line with this knee, hips pointed 45 degrees left of the golf ball, take a little flip of the wrist, and then hit that golf shot. You're gonna find that it really, really takes off. Step two to that, once you can do that with something approaching consistency, again, we're just trying to turn on those hips, put them in a power-producing position prior to impact, would be to go ahead and start just like you did the other drill. That is, in this position, get a feeling for that, and then try to see if you can go back to a normal stance, and then immediately take it back and hit that golf ball. You will notice an awakening of that golf ball right away. You will have turned farther. Let's do that again. So I started out by just hitting balls from this position. Now I'm just going to put it behind there again, start in that position, get a feeling for it, go back to a normal stance, and hit that golf ball, and you'll find it has a different energy. And so that's what we're looking for. The what is more hip turn prior to impact. The how is working on those 2 little drills. And I hope to hear lots of success stories from you. Thank you for watching.